Well, Aurelio, big game against Macarthur coming up. I guess first I'll ask you, health and fitness wise, is there anybody unavailable?
Not at the moment. We've got a couple of sore bodies from last week, namely Lex and Tools. So we got last training session this morning, and so we'll assess that after the training session. But in terms of everyone else, besides obviously Scotty Galloway, who should be back running by next week, so probably we're looking at probably a couple of weeks for him. The only other one is young Benny Mazzeo. He's probably going to have an operation on a ankle syndesmosis that he copped a pretty nasty tackle and kick in the NPL game on the weekend. So he will more than likely miss the rest of the season now.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Tolgay Arslan, his suspension is over. Fitness wise, game fitness wise, how able is he to contribute?
Yeah, I think he'll contribute a lot. He's worked pretty hard in the 2.5 weeks that he's spent away from the playing group. He's trained with us, and then he's done a hell of a lot of extra work. Apart from obviously playing the games, you can never replicate that. But we've loaded him up pretty well in that aspects over the last couple of weeks. So he'll go as long as he can. So it'll be a nice welcome to have him back. I think everyone knows in terms of what he can give the team, especially going forward. So looking forward to having him back.
How do you fit him in and fit everybody else in? Because you said a couple of weeks ago you see Lecky maybe is fitting in more in the midfield. You've got Tilio there. You've got Naboot coming back. Kolish, Jago, everyone. Just how do you juggle all of these players?
Yeah, got a lot of balls up there, mate. Yeah. Well, yeah, whenever everyone's fit, it's extremely difficult, isn't it? So just got to manage it. We've already spoken about, there's going to be times where we're going to be sharing the load. So I've already spoken about that to the players, and they have to accept it. No one's ever happy when they're sitting on the bench or not playing, but it's all part of what team dynamics is all about. And when they're playing, we're expected to play at a certain level, and then guys coming off the bench to give us that extra little bit of injection that we need. So everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a big part to play, whether it's 100 minutes or whether it's 20 minutes. They've all got a role to play.
Because listening back to the audio after the game against Sydney, you talked about aggression. Again, you talked about after the derby, you wanted to see more aggression, and you maybe didn't see as much as you were hoping for against the Sky Blues. You're confident you'll get that aggression against the Bulls?
Well, we have to bring that every game. And we were just a little bit passive in the first half, and we were much better in the second half. And you notice the difference from the first and the second half in the game last week, when our lines were more aggressive and we're able to be closer to the contest. And sometimes that's half the battle, making sure all those little things, all those 1%ers that you're getting right, the 50-50 duels, the slide tackles, all the things in a way that, you think is not important, but it absolutely is. So you get that right, and then most of the rest of your game starts to come together. So we have to be better from the beginning for sure.
Because the Bulls, what have you made of them this season?
Yeah, pretty consistent, to be honest. They've had obviously a pretty good pre-season, had a reasonable start, and then lots of those games in the AFC Cup, got to the final last week. Always playing with a pretty consistent team. We know the dangers of Jermaine and De Villa, really sound midfielders. Jackie Holman, Lewis, these types of guys, they're really nice players, really team players, solid defense. So, and we've seen that over the weeks, and from the beginning to where they are now, they've certainly grown. And obviously a lot of those games in the AFC Cup where they've had pretty decent wins without a hell of a lot of pressure. They seem to have done it pretty easily. I think they're a pretty good team, well coached. I think they've got some decent assistant coaches there as well. So overall, nice team.
Because Villiers-Germain, he's really been scoring a few goals as of late, but he's just sort of like, he's not a blow your doors off sort of striker. He gets into decent positions from what I can see. What's your opinion as a much more expert voice?
Expert, I'm not sure about that, Lynchy. I can give you my opinion. Look, I think he's underrated, definitely. He gets into positions where generally a lot of the central defenders or any of the defenders don't really like to go in. So he can be a little bit of an elusive player by floating. And De Vere, in a way, as we know his qualities, they're very similar in those types of areas where they like to float and get a little bit more harder to mark. And then once that ball gets forward, they really start to smell where the goal is and they're running towards the goal. So Jermaine definitely, looking at his CV, it's a pretty good CV and definitely underrated. And I don't know what, I think between the two of those boys up front, I don't know what their score involvements are this year, 20 odd or something like that. So that's pretty healthy.
Because you look at the month that you've got ahead after this Bulls game, you've got first and second in the weeks that follow in the Knicks and Mariners. Then you've got a Melbourne derby in that month as well. Is there a real need for this game to maybe give you a sense of impetus, a sense of momentum coming into what is going to be an incredibly challenging month?
Yeah, it is a challenging month. It's certainly been a challenging season. Yeah, and the next month is certainly going to be crucial in terms of where we're going to finish in the up in the ladder. So yeah, this game is certainly a big game for us. And I think we're looking from where we come from after that Brisbane game and the rebound against Victory and the rebound certainly against Sydney. And I think Sydney at this point probably one of the best teams in the competition. And if they continue to play in the way they're playing right now, they will come very close. That's just my opinion. So, to go there and get a pretty strong point for us was very, very important. So something again that we're needing to build on. But we really need to get our skates on now because, as you know, there's 8 or 9 games left. I think there's still some discussion about the postponed game for Western Sydney where that's going to be, and there's some chat about the Central Coast Mariners game as well not being the following week because they're going away to Odisha for the AFC Cup. So they're working their heads around where that game is going to be. So potentially that may not be after Wellington.